Hey YouTube and Facebook, right, okay, whichever you're watching this live on, or if you're watching it later on demand. Right, so for this one we're going to be talking about microphones, and we've got a couple of microphones here. One has become faulty, this one. They're both the exact same microphone, but they'll look different because they've got different pop filters or wind covers or windshields or wind cuts, whatever you want to call them. So this is the RODE VideoMic NTG, and I know these videos are quite popular when I'm talking about camera gear and stuff like that. So just to add a bit of context to why I'm creating these videos, I'm the owner of a company in Barnsley called Internet Marketing Platinum. We've been going 16 years. We're based at the Business Village in Wilthorpe, up Huddersfield Road, and we do a lot of video content for corporate businesses, a few events as well, and my passion is interviewing. So the one of the default types of videos that we'll do for a client which utilizes mics like this are pieces to camera. So we'll interview clients for about the business, create different pieces of content such as brand message videos, which is an overview of a business, perhaps with some customer or client testimonials, and FAQ videos are really popular as well. So I'm asked pretty much all the time what kind of gear do I recommend, because I've got quite a few mics which I've got access to that I've bought over the years and for different purposes, and there are different types of microphone. I just thought I'd kind of showcase this one for today, but tell you a little story that's happened this week to start off. So, and it's a bit of a lesson in making sure that as videographers or content creators or anybody who's working with gear, that it will at some point perhaps stop working. So we've got to not only maintain but check our gear on a regular basis, especially when it comes to important client work. So this mic is faulty, so it's no longer going to be used, so it's going to be retired in the business. It's got two faults, so these are two faults to actually perhaps look out for as well. I've got no idea if the common faults with this mic, where it's got two separate faults. And I know it's a problem with the microphone itself because I've tested it with different cameras, different camera bodies, and it's definitely isolated to the mic itself. So fault number one is that this mic is meant to power on when you plug it into the camera and then switch the camera on, and it's meant to get a little green light and switch on, but it no longer does that. And in turn, when you switch the camera off, it's meant to power off as well. So you never actually need to use this power button. This is more like a manual override, so it no longer does that. What happens now is you switch the camera on and nothing happens, and you have to manually switch it on. And if you forget to switch it off when you've finished using it, it will run out of battery. Now, one of the good things about this mic, and it's one of the best things about it actually, it goes from green, a constant green light, to then a flashing red light when it does run out of battery. So at least you know when it's running out of battery. But the batteries are internal on these, that they're not replaceable, at least not unless you kind of do it yourself or whatever. I don't know if that's a thing, if you can get a replacement for it. I mean, they're not a cheap mic, they're about 220 pounds. So that is a bit of a disadvantage, that it doesn't have a replaceable battery, and obviously batteries are consumable. And I'll go through some pros and cons in a bit on this as well. But it's got another fault as well. The second fault is with microphones you usually have a left and a right channel, so the volume comes out of the left, comes out of the right, and quite often in videography you'll just want to have like a mono, as in the same coming out of each channel. But anyway, the left channel is really low on volume and you can't switch it up anymore, so it's like it's not fit for purpose anymore. There's no way of getting it so the left channel is working again. So that means that I suppose you might say that it's on its way out, even though I don't think it's been used that much actually, this one, because it's not been used that much, because I'm just thinking the other one that's used more than this, it's got like a little scrape on it where it were on a gimbal once and it kind of bashed into the gimbal, so yeah, and it's not been used that much, but yeah, the left channel basically not working, basically not fit for purpose anymore, so there's only volume coming out of or only signal coming out of the right channel. So this one was actually purchased a couple of years ago, I think it would have been maybe a year and a half, 2 years ago, and in fact I've only just opened the box, so this is the box for it, which I'm just going to throw away. I'm not going to keep this box. I do sometimes keep boxes for gear, but this is what the box looks like. There it comes in. So this has only just been opened this week. So this was basically a backup, and yeah. So I suppose that's the lesson. Always have a backup. Always check your gear. Always, look after your gear and maintain it as well. Especially when it's important client work. You're on a corporate shoot. You need to make sure that you've got backups. I mean, on every shoot that I do, we always make sure that at least a couple of different audio mics and recorders and all that kind of thing, not just relying on a single source. So I'll run through some bits and pieces about this mic then. This is one of my favourite mics. I'll run through some pros and cons, and I'll run through some of the features as well. So I would advise to get the windshield, which is sold separately if you're doing anything outdoors with this, because this foam windshield that comes with it is not really adequate for a lot of wind conditions and things like that. And I mean, this will do it in most wind conditions. If it gets really windy, you need a blimp, which is like a big enclosure that goes over the bike, and then the mic actually sits inside it completely. But the thing is, having said that, there's pros and cons to everything, isn't there? So this will kind of let in more sound, and it'll not kind of cut a lot of the highs and the mids. So it's like a compromise, when you've got something like this. So you've got to listen to how it sounds. And I would suggest getting a good pair of headphones as well if you're going to do any video content work, because you want to be able to listen for if there's any. I've been on video shoots and somebody's opened a door which has been down a corridor, and you wouldn't have thought that the mic would pick it up, but it has picked it up, and you might have to ask for a second take or something. So it's good to monitor your audio as well quite closely. So somebody told me a long time ago that if you've got too many mics going on a job, it may from perception, from somebody's perception, from a client's perception, look like you've got too many. Have you really even looked at your settings and all that? You can get lazy, if you've got too much going on, and you can make mistakes as well if you've got too much going on, if you're trying to wear too many hats. So I go for simplicity, but I do go for at least one mic on a job, generally. So some of the things that I like about this bike, then some of the pros. I mean, the audio quality is really good. It's RODE. RODE is, you know, it's one of the best, you know, in the business when it comes to audio gear. RODE are known for audio gear as well. I mean, there's other good brands as well, like the Shure. Shure. This is a SM7B. So this is a popular podcasters type of mic. But yeah, one of the best features about it then is that volume. So with the older Rodes, they didn't have this function, so it would very much manually switch it on when you switch your camera on, and that were a disadvantage because you could forget to switch it off or forget to switch it on, even worse. And then, you know, you've either got no audio if you forget to switch it on in the first place, or if you forget to switch it off, you could be running out of battery. So yeah, and then there's a load of controls on it as well. So you've obviously got your power, which is more like a manual override as far as I'm concerned. You've got a minus 20 dB cut, which is quite useful. You've got a safety track, which means your left channel can be like normal volume, and then your right channel can be so many dBs less than that. So if your left channel clips, so it goes above 0, it gets that horribly distorted sound, so it's not optimum. At least you can go back to your safety channel, and I have had to do that a few times. The next step up from that, from a safety channel, which this doesn't have, which I suppose it's not really fair to say it's a disadvantage, because these mics come out in 2020 before they were even, I don't think there were, at least it wasn't that popular, 32-bit float in mics. So if you get something like a lavalier wireless pack now, which is like a Rode Wireless Pro, then you can have 32-bit float, which is basically like unclippable audio. So you've got really wide dynamic range. It's a bit like, if you're a photographer, you'll understand that you can have raw photos, so you've got a lot more information to go at. And then some of the other controls, you've got various boosts on it and stuff like that. So one of the best things about this is one of the reasons why in videography you might want to have a bigger camera with external controls is you've got more controls on the fly, so you don't have to go into the touch screen or the settings on your camera. So it's nice to have external controls. So one of the other real bonuses of this mic is this dial. So you've got a volume dial, a physical analog control. So this can really be great. And I'd always say, to be a true professional, really learn your tools. And I shoot just on Sony now. Still got some Blackmagic and Canon which I'm offloading. So selling a lot of the non-Sony. That doesn't mean I'm selling the Rode. I mean the Sony camera bodies in Sony lenses. But it's good to get to know your gear, especially before you do a professional shoot, so you can kind of do all the controls tacitly. So in learning, they call it unconscious competence. So you put your 10,000 hours in basically to learning your craft, and this just means that you've got another thing to, that if you go clockwise you're at 15, that if you go anti-clockwise you're at 1. So let's say you go into a noisier environment, you can switch it from 15 to 10, or let's say you go to it's quieter, you can bump it up. Now if you're a Sony shooter, what I've found is that in your camera, so if you're using a mirrorless camera, I mostly use Sony A7 IVs, I will set the volume in the camera body into manual mode, and then I will set it to a 6. Now when I used to shoot with Canons, I used to set it to a 1, so 1/0. So you're using as little of the camera's audio as possible, so you're not getting noise. So you're not using essentially the preamps in the camera. So you're using the mic basically, so you don't get the noise and any hiss or anything like that. So just bear that in mind. The reason why I set it to 6 on a Sony is it doesn't seem to have as much oomph when I tested it. So those are the settings that I use. So another thing is, and I really do like the look of these mics. I think they just look the part as well. You know, and that's on top of a mirrorless camera or a DSLR. It really does look pretty cool. And one of the best things about them is this suspension system. So it's got it's Rycote. You've got a Rycote suspended mount. So that's basically to stop any handling noise coming in, and it really does work. I've not had any handling noise that I can remember from this mic. So I'll go through in a bit why you would use this mic over some other types of mics. In terms of just overall build quality, it's fantastic. Does it put me off that this one's failed? Yeah, I've had a few RODE products fail on me after not that much use as well. So yeah, I'm starting to kind of... They are one of the best makes, but I'm starting to wonder if, you know, about the reliability. So I've had... I think I had an NTG 5 fail, which I'd bought off Amazon, and that was under the Amazon second hand. I've had the RODE wireless Go 2, one of the... So the RODE wireless Go 2 is something I don't use anymore because one of the transmitters has failed, and it failed outside of warranty, so I couldn't get it replaced. They are prosumer, I suppose, these. So they're not actually built for professional use, but a lot use them for professional use, and I use them for professional use. They're just so convenient. So I've got the Sennheiser 512 as well, which you have to have a radio license for and tune it in as well. You know, so that can be better if you've got, because it doesn't work on Wi-Fi, whereas these work on 2.4 gigahertz Wi-Fi. These can be great, but in experience, I've never had any interference. You know, when I've been at an event and there's been lots of Wi-Fi, lots of people with phones, lots of signals, lots of other videographers, I've never had a problem with these. But just one of them went wrong, and one of the transmitters, and it just stopped working. It kept switching itself off. So I stopped using the whole thing, and then I upgraded to the RODE Wireless Pro, which is 32-bit float. So I'll do a comparison between, and you stick a little lavalier mic in these, or you can use them just the transmitter on its own. You don't have to have a lavalier. But I'll run through in a bit why you'd use, you know, a shotgun like this rather than a wireless, and why you use this rather, you know, and vice versa. So in terms of cons, I think the battery could be a con. The fact that one has failed, I suppose things do fail, would be a con, because reliability is a thing, and I'm not too impressed, and I keep using them because I love them, and you know, there are alternatives to them as well. But yeah, it's a great mic. So what are some of the other things that you can do with it? So it's USB-C. So this is a 3.5. This goes into your camera, your camera's audio, your audio jack 3.5. So this is how, you know, it goes into the camera. There's no phantom power with these. I mean, there's no phantom power possible from a mirrorless camera anyway. So it's a self-powered microphone. The battery's inside it, which I think it would be a disadvantage, you know, if that failed. But that's not the reason why, you know, this one that's not the reason why this one has failed. And batteries have never been an issue, I don't think, on any of the Rode products I've ever had. So I don't think that is. I think that's a moot point, really. There's a USB-C, so you can actually go straight into a laptop, like say you've got a MacBook, and use it as a podcast mic. So that's a second use, as in, the first use will be stick it on the cold shoulder camera, and then you know where you point it, that's where you're going to get your audio in, because it's a shotgun mic. So it'll basically say if you've got like this semicircle of where it's picking up sound, and it's mostly here, and it will get a little bit from these. I don't want to be technical in this video, but it'll kind of cancel from behind. There'll be hardly any volume from the front. It'll be like it's optimum, and it can shoot a little bit, in terms of in front, and obviously that diminishes over time. So it's not necessarily a mic that you need to be really close to, like this one. You really need to be close to it. This dynamic mic, the Shure SM7B, it will pretty much, if I come away from it like that, you will hardly be able to hear me, because it's actually really good at cancelling any reflections off the walls of audio or anything like that. So this is very isolating, which is a great thing, and that's where you get that radio mic kind of vibe from it as well. It's got that certain vibe, and when I get closer to it, you've got quite a great sound. This will pick up more, and it might be affected by reflections as well. So this is it's very precise, because it's whatever you point at, it's going to pick up mostly, and it will eliminate a lot of other things, a lot of audio. So what else? Yeah, in terms of application then, so stick it on top of a camera, self-powered. You charge it through the USB-C. It doesn't take long to charge, and then you've probably got about 8 hours use out of it, so it'll do you for most shoots. So it's not like you're just getting 2 hours or anything like that, and then it's going to conk on you. I don't think this has ever run out on a shoot. I don't tend to do very long shoots, but when I do, it's never been a problem. So yeah, I've even boomed this on a boom pole, and then you can have it on a light stand or a C stand, and then you can have it above your talent like that, or you can have it pointing up like that. Or you can have it on your desk, so you can podcast with it. Like I said, you can go straight into a recorder. So I mostly use the Zoom F6, which has got XLR inputs, but you can convert this 3.5 into XLR, and then plug it in there, so direct to a recorder. So you might want to do that and use the preamps from the recorder rather than those from your camera. You probably get a better quality. Well, you would get better quality, and then you can. But we might be getting a bit technical there. Just kind of drill into that. Like traditionally, you would say the preamps in the camera aren't as good as the preamps in a dedicated recorder. So a recorder is where you have a mic going from an XLR cable, which is a high quality audio cable, into a recorder. So its sole purpose is to record audio, and then you might use your internal mic on your camera, if it's got one of scratch audio, or I sometimes put one of these on, if I want a bit further reach or something, or just because it's in my camera bag. And use this as scratch audio. So scratch audio is where you're just using it to sync the audio which comes from your audio recorder to your camera. So basically, it looks at the waveforms, or if you've got timecode. Timecode is something I won't go into on this video. It might be a bit too technical, but it's just another way of making sure that your audio is good. So it kind of can creep over time with longer recording, or they call it drifting. Right, so let's just talk about this in comparison with some different types of mics. because I know a lot of people who watch these videos, they're either looking at starting their own podcast, or they're looking at filming themselves. I get a lot of business owners watching me videos. I get a lot of other video people, videographers, watching my videos, you know, because we like to share gear advice and stuff like that. And just somebody who's starting to looking at making content, basically. So maybe you've got a job and you want to vlog, or you want to have like a second income from doing a YouTube channel. So I get a lot of questions about gear and which camera I'd recommend. And I do recommend Sony these days for cameras. Either the A7 III, which is about 1100, maybe 1150 at the moment, off Amazon in the UK, UK pounds, or the Sony A7 IV, if you've got a bigger budget, they're about £2,000, so almost twice as much, and I'd highly recommend those. But there's loads of cameras. You can get Canon, you can get Lumix, you can get Nikon. Nikon wasn't really known for video, but it's got really good at video, in my opinion. But yeah, let's talk about mics a bit more. So this is, I'll show you without the windshield again, without the foam windshield. This is a shotgun microphone. That's what this is. So they look pretty cool. They look the business, very professional. Bargain for the price at about £220. And this is great if you kind of what we call run and gun. So you put this on top of a camera, and wherever you point it, that's where you're picking your audio up. So it's great for collecting, say if you were filming an event and you wanted the ambience, so you wanted a crowd reaction, and you want, you know, a bunch of people, and to get the general sounds from the room, or you're outside and you're getting wildlife or something like that. So that's great for that. So you're not necessarily looking at isolating any particular subject with this. The caveat though is you can get it close to people, and you can vlog with it, and you can use it for podcasts, and that's where the versatility comes in. So you can also use it for that as well. So you can use it as like an overhead shotgun, you know, in films. You would, you know, if you're shooting a short film or something, just to keep this nice and relevant to you, or if you're shooting an interview, you can put this, depending on the vibe you're looking for. With a film, it would obviously be off camera, so it'd be out of frame, so you wouldn't be able to you wouldn't be able to see it. So it'd be like that, and it would sometimes be above, or it could be below as well. So it depends. As long as it's off frame, and you want to be pointing it towards the diaphragm rather than the mouth. So if you're filming somebody, or you're filming yourself, and then you lean forward, then it'll be hitting the top of your head. Not physically, but it'll be you know, collecting audio from the top of your head. So it won't be optimum. So you'll be speaking, and it'll be kind of off center, and that's not the optimum collection point, I suppose, for the collection point for the audio. So it's very versatile, and this is why it's one that I really recommend. Whereas a wireless pack like this, so this is the Rode Wireless Go 2, like I showed you earlier. I'll show you again. You'd have a transmitter like that, which goes on the top of the camera, just like this would, but it goes on with that clip rather than that cold shoe adapter on the Rycote mount. And then you'd have the little 3.5 to 3.5 going into this 3.5 input, and then into the camera, and that'll be your receiver, and you see a signal on there, and then when it comes to charge it, you plug it into the USB-C into a you know, the power, plug it into the power adapter in the wall, and then the receivers, they'd be little wireless pack basically, and they go into a lavalier microphone, which I'm just getting one out now. So it'd go into the lavalier, or you could use the, you can actually use the pack. This has got a mic on it as well, and you see people just clipping it to themselves and using that. But if you want to be a bit more discreet, and you know what, the audio is very similar coming out of this mic or this mic, but what happens when you plug in the lavalier mic or the lav mic is you've then got the audio just coming out of here really, and this pack you'd put it on your belt loop or something like that, on your, you know, your belt or whatever, and then that would go be clipped onto you basically. Best place to clip a mic on is going to be, I usually put them between this and this, so it's diaphragm area, not too close up. You want a bit more bass from the diaphragm. You don't want it too close, and then that's how that works. So when would I use a lavalier mic? So let's say you were doing a cooking show and you're moving about a lot, or you're moving about a lot in general. This is where you really want to have something clipped onto you so you've got consistent audio. And often when I'm podcasting, in fact every time I'm filming a podcast, I'll always put a lavalier mic on, unless there's, you know, another way of making sure I've got some more audio options in post-production. So that's what I do with that, and so I'm giving away all the secrets now. And but this one broke the RODE Wireless Go 2. Now I'm using the RODE Wireless Pro, which is great as well. That's got a few quirks. Most of the lavalier mic clips are not the best, so that's a bit frustrating. So it keeps the lavalier mic keeps popping off the clip, which is a bit frustrating. But you know, you sometimes replace out parts when you're using things and bits and pieces when you get these kind of all-in-one packs. And you know, you kind of, you're either going to compromise on things or you're going to, you know, change things out. But it's always worth having backups, and I think one of the morals of the story for this live, you know, some of the things I've imparted to you, it's about checking your gear, making sure that you're not just relying on one thing, especially. It depends on how mission critical the job is. And then there's this microphone that I'm on for this live. I mean, this is going into a Rodecaster Pro 2, and then there's a USB-C going into the MacBook Pro. I'm filming this live through the camera on the MacBook Pro, so I'm not using a mic, even though I could. Yeah, this is a fantastic mic for podcasting. For any pieces to camera, you've got to be close to it. So, you know, if you're further away, like I said, you know, you're not going to get as good audio. But that's because it's cutting out a lot of the ambient audio. So that's one of the advantages. So it's kind of different mics for different purposes. That's one of the takeaways of this this live. So yeah, it's and it's, you know, if you're just going to have one mic, it would depend. It depends. I mean, I'd probably just have a lavalier mic, a wireless lavalier mic, and I think if I were going to recommend one, it would be the Hollyland Lark M2 or even the M2S. But I think I'd go with the M2, which has got the little round button. You have the magnet on the other side. Very easy to use. It works with phones. If you get it depends which one you get. There's 4 or 5 packs, different variants. different permutations of the pack. So you can get one that works with Lightning for I think it's iPhone 13 and earlier, and then iPhone 14 Plus. I can't remember if iPhone 14 were Lightning or not. Drop me a comment if you know. I'd have to look that up. It's either 14 or 13. 13 is definitely Lightning and everything up to there, I believe, but then it were USB-C. So 15 and 16, iPhone 15 and 16 are definitely USB-C, and Android, they're generally USB-C. So and then so you can get with 3.5 and basically for phones as well. So and they're only about if you get the top one, it's about £110 usually. I've seen it for about 90 as well. So so that's how that works. Right. So wrap this up. Yeah, drop me a comment, and if you've got any questions about audio or camera stuff, or marketing in general, lead generation, need help with your Google ads, need help with your Meta ads, let me know. I'm just making these videos, doing these lives to help people out who've got questions. It's a good leverage on my time. I'm usually asked a lot of questions one-to-one, so I've started putting some videos together which can help a bunch of people at the same time 24/7, you know. So there'll be a recorded version of this as well, which I'll put out there and probably clip up with some reels. So yeah, let me know if you've got any questions, and I'll see you next time.